Okay.
So welcome to the developers meeting on Sunday, the 9th of July. We have a special guest today. It's Artem, Yevgeny, and Igor from the SRCAA/SOND project, and they are going to present us their methods and procedures in UAP tracking. And I now give over the stage to Artem and start your share. Go ahead, Artem.
Okay, thank you so much. Nice to be here. In a not very easy time for our country, as you know. The war is going on in our land, so I will try very shortly as possible brief you to our activity and our team and goals of our organization. So we're considering anomalous phenomena like a non-periodic phenomena in our environment with some special parameters which cannot be explained using existing theories and scientific concepts. So, a few words about our organization, Ukrainian Scientific Research Center for the Analysis of Anomalies Zoned. Our organization is the part of Aerospace Society of Ukraine, and we're working since 2004. But actually the activity of anomalous phenomena exploration in Ukraine started in early 18th in last century. So that was a special committee founded by Ukrainian Academy of Science in a former Soviet Republic, headed by the Georgy Stepanovich Pisarenko, academician, doctor of technical science. He was a founder of this activity, and now we continue this activity in a new form. Like a scientific research center is the non-government organization. We're not funded by the government, but we supplying with the information by the government, especially with information from the meteorological observation points. Our paradigm is to study anomalous phenomena using scientific methods and different available theories to understand world more completely. Here you can see a few links. In using these links, you can go more familiar with our activity. Unfortunately, most part of our materials in Ukrainian language, but you can use translators, and also we have double language materials like special issues of articles. Also we have a YouTube channel and a couple of friendly networking projects. Just a few words about our principles is the presumption of objectivity, of course, confidentiality for the witnesses. This is our national school with some traditions from the Soviet era, and we have no much more resources, and because of this we try to be focused on some special sides of the problem which cannot be solved using less resources, but more activity and attention we're paying for it. So the forms of our activity is more the theoretical researches, Also, we're providing expeditions and some laboratory studies. We try to build special models of anomalous phenomena, and also we're designing special equipment, devices. We're providing trainings for the personnel and for the people who are interested to be anomalous phenomena researcher. We have many speeches in the media, in TV programs, in movies, in Ukraine and abroad. Here you can see the logo of Central Geophysical Observatory in Ukraine. We cooperate with this observatory. They sending to us spatial data about anomalous phenomena. They have more than 100 observation stations in Ukraine, but unfortunately, because of the war, I cannot tell you clearly the real number of these observation points. I will pay attention for this in the further slides. Why we do this? Since we started our activity in 2004, we established two main target components in our activity. First is the national security, because anomalous phenomena and other objects in the sky, in some other environment, and so on, can be aircrafts and missiles. And the second target is that the development of the new technologies, because some anomalous phenomena demonstrated to us some very unusual effects, like high acceleration or the beams of light, or appearing and disappearing, and so on, that can be explained. They can find exploration using the obvious physical theories. So we need to use edge science and special physics theories to explain it. And this is how the science is developing itself. Here you can see just few obvious footage of an UFO in 2006, for example. Here just few photos and list of our equipment. Using visual observation methods and traditional measurement. Also using biolocation, biodetectors like plants and animals and personnel themselves. So we use some special devices like fitness trackers and special equipment to check physical and psychological state of our personnel when we go to the anomalous zones and some special places, like a place of with UFOs signs and so on. Here is the list of our instruments and equipment. As you can see, we use all available equipment that we can achieve in Ukraine. This list always very specific according to the tasks that we want to solve. If we want to explore some place in ground, we need some special geodetic equipment and maybe drilling equipment to take samples of the soil, etc. If we want to explore some underwater phenomena. We need to use special radars, sonars, and so on. Maybe some other special equipment. Of course, we always use magnetic field meters and radio wave meters, metal detectors. If we take the samples, we cooperate with the many specialists and laboratories in our outsource. We cooperate with many, for example, we cooperate with many laboratories in special scientific research institutions in Kiev and in other cities. We have approximately 20 members in Ukraine and few members of our organization in other countries. But in Ukraine we have two main centers. The main center in Kiev and the second center in Kharkiv city, like a separate division of our center with their own expeditions, research, and so on. Also, the other form of our activity is the scientific issue of articles. We publishing it each 5 years. Here you can see the front page of last scientific issues. Two last issues were bilingual in Ukrainian and in English. So you can download the electronic copy of these issues from our website, or if you need a paperback copy, you can write me and we will send you a paperback copy for you of these issues of articles. And we have in this issue we have international editorial board with many well-known specialists from other countries, from Sweden, from USA, and so on. So the next our issue of articles will be published in 2025. So I want to propose you to send for in this issue of articles your scientific materials about anomalous phenomena, not only about aerial identified phenomena, but also about other abnormal phenomena like poltergeists and ghosts and crop circles and other anomalous phenomena with scientific approach to research it. What is the main results of our work since 2004? It is more than 600 eyewitness reports reviewed by our organization, more than 50 expeditions and field studies. We have published more than 10 books and more than 150 articles, not only in our issue of articles, but in many other issues in Ukraine and in foreign countries, also even in special issues which indexed by the Scopus and Web of Science databases. We participated in many TV programs and so on. Here you can see just a few photos from this more than 600 eyewitnesses reports. Of course, after our analysis, more than 90% of reports becomes more understandable and many times people reporting to us that they see anomalous phenomena, but in real case we understand that it was Venus or some bright stars or drones or aircrafts and so on. But we continue to working on analysis of these reports to achieve this 10 or even 5% with high abnormality. What is the main directions and example of the work of our organization? For example, we have developed a methodology of UAP identification. This methodology based on well-known Japan classes A, B, C, D, and D1 classes of abnormality, as you can see in slide, and these abnormality factors like a manifestation of the phenomena with such unidentified characteristic, and we use two parameters like a super classes. It is a non-identifiability of aerospace phenomenon using fuzzy sets mathematical theory, and the second one is the measure of amount of information. It's like a Shannon information in cybernetics, and after calculating these two super parameters, we can say this phenomena belongs to the first, second, third, or the fourth class, or even in the for the fifth class. Now our methodology using 9 representative characteristic is the height of flight, diameter and angular size, angular and linear velocity of the phenomena or object, minimum radius and angular speed of turn, maximum hover time, and the maximum brightness. So using these parameters we can calculate the unidentified and amount of information, and here you can see a dots on a graph in the left side of the slide. So here is two dots in a D1 class. This is the phenomenon with high identifiability. This is the real case, like an example of UAP filmed near the Kryvyi Rih city in Ukraine in 2012. Here you can see screens from the video filmed by the witness, and here the drawing of the witness, like explanation what he have seen so in this real case. The other direction that we try to develop is the new quantum model of identifying phenomena. It is very close to so-called Everett-Wheeler classification or explanation of the quantum mechanics theory, is the multiverse theory, which concerning some parallel worlds that can be intercrossed in some places, in some times. And it is very close with the human consciousness, and the double slit experiment, as you know, about the Schrödinger cat. So our hypothesis connected with this interpretation of an explanation of quantum theory using multi-worlds. because what we see in the data of observation of the UAP, that usually UAP can appear and disappear and show us some very unusual characteristics, as I mentioned above, and our suggestion that this is like things from the other world. If we're talking about absolutely not identified phenomenons, but with very high amount of information. Other our directions of research, theoretical research, that we extended classification of Kardashov Kaiku-Kautz model of the other civilizations. So maybe you know that the basis of Kardashov scale of civilization is based on amount of energy that the civilization use to perform its activity in the universe. But we proposed a more extended model using degree of consciousness and the examples of special creation forms. This scale more detailed than Kardashov scale, because we try to take into account some parallel worlds and multiverse theories in meaning of quantum explanation of our observation of UAP. And here also you can see like an examples. I absolutely believe that you know about Abraham Lab investigations in ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, yeah, in the goal to try to find some pieces of interstellar object, and he believed that it was a space interstellar ship. So after that, and using these thoughts, we can also suggest that many objects in outer universe with some abnormal characteristics could be signs of activity of some other civilizations, and even some strange lunar phenomena in the moon could be signs or artifacts of the former or the present activity of the other civilization. So here just few examples of our instrumental research of abnormal phenomenon. For example, here is the crop circle phenomena research in Kardashov in Vinnytsia region in Ukraine in 2011. That was very interesting case because we collected the samples of the plants from these crop circles and from the other fields around it, and samples of the soil, and the laboratory tests shows us abnormal characteristics of the biochemistry parameters of the plants, and also the chemical composition of the soil has been changed with some abnormal source, comparing to the such samples just 50 meters from this phenomena taking place. And here you can see also the footage of the poltergeist phenomena using thermal imaging, and abnormal splashes in a graph of the white nose in Pidhirtsi Castle, where we have provided the exploration of the ghosts phenomena. And what we doing now? As you know, unfortunately, and the Russian aggression started not in 2022, but much more early in 2014, and we have changed our directions of activity according to new hazards, a new reality. We have published a few books with our methodics and techniques of the security for personnel. We have developed special equipment for the researchers and some other stuff. And now the military danger has been added to the abnormal danger, because when you going to the abnormal zone with some strange unusual signs and some strange activity, you need to be very consciousness with huge alertness to be safe and to save this zone, to do not ruin the science, but be like a researcher with very careful approach. Yeah. So here you can see, maybe you know, a very popular movie, Annihilation. This is one of our favorite movie, and here you can see a few screens, a few images from our expeditions. We use special equipment and special instruments to obtain samples, and also we use special monitoring complexes. When the Russia's full-scale invasion began in February 2022, a lot changed in our organization. So, for example, some members of our organization volunteered for the armed forces of Ukraine, especially me. Now I am serving in the general staff of the armed forces in Ukraine, but before of this I was more than a year in Azov regiment, in the battles for Kiev and in the battles in the south and in the east of Ukraine. I was a commander of the engineering sapper platoon and engineering section according to the NATO classification. So now, unfortunately, the martial law imposes very many restrictions and prohibitions for our forms of research. For example, in movement, we cannot use special devices and so on, drones, yeah, unfortunately. So we continue our meetings in Kharkiv and in Kiev, but now we more and more use online instruments like a Zoom. Also, unfortunately, most of our land polluted by the land anti-personnel and anti-transport landmines, and unfortunately, because of this, we cannot provide our research activity like it was before. And many areas of our land now is prohibited to visit, not only for researchers but for all civilians. So we need to stay for demining, to wait for demining measures, yeah. But we continue trainings and some other volunteers work. Here in the images you can see our trainings, and in our office our members gathering armor jackets for the army, and they're very curious. You can see the badge of my engineering platoon. Here you can see an UFO. It was absolutely not my idea to place an UFO here, but that was developed by the designer. It is, you know, like a very non-probable events that finally trapped. This is also the part of the quantum universe, and here you can see the trophy, the Russian tank. I'm joking that we was Ghostbusters, but now we become a tank busters, yeah. And what is the situation with UFOs? Unfortunately, now our aerospace environment very filled with some military aerospace phenomena so much. You can see in Ukraine in each evening some military activities like drones or missiles or anti-missile rockets and so on. And we have some own Roswells, yeah, every day, but it is unfortunately this is not UFOs, but more it is Russian targeted planes and missiles and UAVs. This is new challenge, but this gives us a new opportunities. For example, Ukrainian aerospace has become probably the most observed in the world. So we have so many systems now, civilian system and military system for observation, for the reporting of some unusual phenomena that can be with military origins. But unfortunately, there is no centralized system yet for the collecting and analyzing UAPs. We absolutely know that the part of the observations of the reports that now gathering with the civilians and with military, of course, is the unusual phenomena like a UAP, but unfortunately we have no centralized system with the non-governmental access to it. And we continue our research and trainings. We continue developing equipment like here you can see the land drone for the with the magnetic field meta to recognize the land mines and so on. And as a finish of my part of this presentation, what is the areas of the possible international cooperation? At first is the unification of the research methods. We are ready to change in experience, we are ready to share of our experience and data. We are interested in development of new methods together with other foreign organizations and to provide some experiments. Of course, we proposed for other organizations to write articles and books about it, because for us very important to integrate our experience and to make our sky more safe. And the research of the UAP is lead us to this goal, and especially the UAP monitoring. If it will be deployed at all levels, includes the ground systems and aerial systems, some stationarity system and movable system and so on. Of course, with the public access, yeah, because unfortunately we have no connections with militaries now. even if I'm a military and I'm serving in the general staff as a military engineer, I have no access to the special data, and as I know, there is no special center for observation UAPs. If the military is now in our country observing some unusual phenomena in the sky, they try to identify it. If it's not identified, they considering that it was a new drone of the Russian assault forces. But if we pay attention to its characteristics, it cannot be compared with any type of drones. Yeah. So because of this, it must be considered like a UAP, but nobody do anything with this. So that is the problem, and we continue to find ways to cooperate with the militaries to process the data about the unusual drones in UAP. And I want to give the floor for my colleague, Yevhen Kovalenko. He will tell you about the monitoring complexes that developed in our center. And also, you may ask questions now, or maybe it will be better to ask questions for me and for Evgen after the whole our presentation. How do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much, Artem. I would suggest we go on with Yevgeny's presentation, or Igor's, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So we have many eyewitnesses that say about the places on Earth where abnormal phenomena occurs periodically. But there is a problem. We can scan them with many electronic devices, with modern devices, but we do it only after the phenomena occurs. So we wanted to fix this situation and make the device which can be installed and which can work for a long time to monitor and to record main parameters of this place. And we make the box that you can see on the first picture, and it includes the processor, two temperature sensors, pressure, humidity, 3-axis magnetic sensors, 3-axis acceleration sensors to maybe measure gravitational field, and the sensors to measure geoelectric potentials. The last one is the set of shift which placed into the earth, and the device measures the voltage between them. And all this data is recorded to the micro SD card, and we have the autonomy, so the time of life from battery up to 2 months. We use lithium ferrum batteries, so the device can normally operate, for example, in winter condition when the temperature is below 0 degree. We installed these devices many times, so we have some experience of their use, and we want to modify them by adding the solar panel, so they theoretically can be used for a very, very long time. Maybe camera, LTE modem, and GPS. Also, these devices in that way can be used for photo video transmission and data transmission. For example, we have some abnormal values as the sensors, and it will bring up the LTE connection and connect to our server, send the datum, send the pictures from camera, and send the signal from Telegram bot to our phone that, guys, something strange is happening. You can see it in real time. And I think it will be very interesting and useful. Next slide. After measurement, the datum from microSD card are uploaded to our server and transfers to MySQL database. So we have an interface that allows us to watch this datum, to export it. Is very easy to view and easy to understand form. Especially we can export it to CSV files, which can be opened by usual Excel. And at these pictures you see the screenshots from this interface, and at the bottom one you can see the very rapid magnetic field shift, 3-axis magnetic field shift, which was in 2018th year, and it was not the failure of magnetic sensor. We checked them many times. It was a real Earth phenomenon, and we see some any of them. Next slide. Okay, and let's go to the maybe most interesting part for you. Our complex for observing physical anomalies. In our village called Yablonivka, we have many eyewitnesses that say see many strange situations, many strange objects in the sky. And it was in the time where drones were not so. It started from the time where drones were not so popular, so it can be really something strange. And we checked the description. It was not a plane. It was something else. So we have built the complex and located it at the loft of one of witnesses. We used the location to see even that part of sky that was pointed by all witnesses. It consists of 4K very sensitive camera, the microcomputer Raspberry Pi with connected external hard drive for 2 terabytes, of course internet connection, and the datum is transferred to our server with a Telegram bot, and the Telegram bot sends the datum to users. Next slide. The internal structure is the next. We use 2 streams from camera. We use original stream. It has 4K resolution. It is video stream, and the camera forms a secondary one with 72p resolution. Both streams are written to RGD, but we analyze only the second stream because we want to do it in real time. So after analyzing, this Raspberry Pi draws a green border and stores the screenshot with all info about the video file, about the date, timestamp, and sends it to the server. We use just simple algorithm. We scan for moving objects and checked their square. If their square is more than some constant, we think that it is something interesting and save it as a screenshot from video. So these screenshots in real time are transferred to our server, and once a day this server forms the archive of the daily screenshots and sends them via the Telegram bot to subscribed users. After each, users analyze screenshots, and if they see something really interesting, because for example at these screenshots you can see just the clouds, but for algorithm it's like something abnormal in the sky. So the users send the screenshots to admins, and admins could see the timestamp and the name of video file and screenshot, and they download its file with original 4K description and check them if there is really something interesting or it was just a mismatch. So we use a VPN connection because the system has no static IP. And we use OverlayFS to avoid SD card damage on Raspberry Pi. Next slide. So here you can see some results of tracking algorithm, and at the most top picture it's a graphical, it's a painting from one witnesses. They try to paint the things that they see in the sky. And we have several interesting interesting video, but one of them was just a flying lamp. We to check this, we take this flying lamp and started it behind the camera, and then checked the video, and it looks like that. And another objects are interesting for us because we didn't understand what it was. The next slide. So that's all about our presentation, and if you have any questions, you can easily ask to me and to Artem.
Thank you very much, Evgeny. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So first of all, thank you very much, Artem and Evgeny, for your presentation. And I would just say we do a couple of question rounds. Okay with you?
Go on.
All right.
Yes.
So a stupid question, the one that stick in my mind was, why was there a badge with a UFO in the military, in the Ukrainian military? Was this just a joke, or what is the reason behind it?
No. Just the explanation is that is not really UFO, but if I will try to return this. I missed. Here is, you can see, this is actually not an UFO, but a legendary German aircraft, like a flying saucer. Yeah. So this is like a symbol of incredible, unbelievable technical inventions. Because my engineering section that I commanded have more than dozens in special military inventions, including special landmines, special demining missiles, special digging machines. Every day we have invented some new devices because the international support was not available. International technical support was not available in the first months And even now it is not enough for us, especially for the engineers, because we continue to solve some very unusual tasks. So that was not my decision, but our designers of the badge. Each platoon, each section has an unique badge with some symbol. So they decided to place and this like
Okay.
legendary flying saucer like a symbol of the incredible inventions connected with our experience. So this is not a UFO itself, but this is like a legend, you know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah, I have several questions noted, but any one of you shoot questions if you want. So, okay,
Please
just to
go
make
on.
it rolling, you, what I've learned from your presentation is that you go out on expeditions, kind of. You set up devices, you collect data for a certain period of time, and then you bring it back, or you collect the data during that time. Did you ever consider stationary systems that stay there in place? I know the situation with the war is different now, but will you in the future, after the victory, um, think about stationary systems, or will you stay the way you are with kind of expeditions and temporary setting out equipment?
As you know
We-
now, unfortunately, Євгеній, я спробую першу частину, а потім ти доповниш. Добре?
Okay.
I will try to say a few words that now, unfortunately, observations of the sky using technical devices by civilians are forbidden. You know, because many footage of the air defense system working in our country leads to the destroying of these systems, because it is very difficult to keep it secure. And if the footage, the civilian footages of the sky with the signs of air defense system working going to the internet, so Russians see the tracks of the missiles and understand where is the air defense systems located in our land, and correcting the targeting of the missiles. So, Evgeny, может, ты
Yeah, understood. Yeah, makes sense.
I'll say another few words. The device we used before the full-scale war, we set them, for example, for about 2 months. After each, we get them and get the data. But we have to organize an expedition to set, to get back. So after the war ends, we want to add the solar panels and locate them to the place where they can be easily seen. We have another problem that sometimes usual civilian people can achieve these devices. For example, someone can go by forest and see the wires. It can think, interesting wires. It can be used at my home, and still see it. And we have the situations. So we plan to increase the working time of devices, but also we have to do them as invisible as it possible.
Okay, understood.
So we stay for the end of the war, for our victory, and we will continue our field activity after this. Before the victory, unfortunately, the the list of our possible activity very short, as I shown in my slides. Now we focused on some object like castles to explore the ghost activities using such devices in indoor, yeah. But unfortunately, outdoor use of the devices very difficult because as I mentioned about the high percentage of our land now polluted with the landmines and prohibited to visit it. And of course, if the other side of the problem, then when some people will see that we try to installate some devices on the forest, I believe that they will call the police or militaries because unfortunately many diversants, Russian diversants, continued to act terroristic activities on our land and diversions in our factories and especially in electricity plants and so on. So our main goal in this research is to not be shooted by military. So because of this, we need to stay, unfortunately, for the end of the war, for our victory, and continue after this our field activity. But now we focused on the development of our systems because we can do this on our laboratory just and to check indoor these systems, even a system for the observation UAPs to improve and improving the algorithm for identification. So now we focused on theoretical work. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hello. It's Ole. I'm also a member of the Zond community. What I wanted to add to this question is that because I don't remember actually who asked it because I didn't follow the video chat so much. However, right now we got and Eugene can tell more on this. We got two systems, pretty autonomous systems. One of them we set outdoors in forests, yeah, and it tracks activity for month or two. The latest model tracks the activity for 2 months. Then we have to replace it, copy data from it, etc. And we got some more autonomous system, which we got hooked up with the Telegram bot and the video camera, including some AI algorithms. And that thing tracks it actually. I know Eugene can maybe correct me, but if I'm not mistaken, that thing tracks the events that it captures fully autonomously, for a year or maybe no. It just sends the reports and the reports of the AI algorithm already analyzing the visual footage of the the camera is capturing the sky and it actually learns how the clouds look, how the birds look, how etc. When something out of these rules occurs or shows on camera, it sends a signal. But I think Eugene can tell more on that. What I was just wanted to say is that we've got pretty autonomous models right now, and if we understand it correctly, these are pretty comparable with, for example, well, not that much, but I mean, we're aiming at the Hesdalen practice. Yeah, the tools they use, the how do you call it? The detectors they use, the sensors they use. We aim for that kind of scale. And right now we're of course at the beginning of this journey, but I mean, that's our main goal.
Okay, got it. Thank you for the answer. I have a question to you. I've seen in the presentation you're using a special camera, a 4K camera, and it looked to me as if it is not a hemispheric camera, but a zoomed optic. Can you explain why you go for that, rather in opposite to a hemispheric?
No, what means hemisphere camera? Hemisphere, okay. Because when we started this project, it was at about 5 years ago. There was no possibility to buy, even buy in China, the full sphere camera with high sensitivity. And all eyewitnesses pointed at the same part of sky. So we have the defined area, and we got the camera which has more sensibility than human's eye. So we decided to use it.
Okay. Okay. You just mentioned witnesses. That implies, at least to me, that you're going on an expedition or installation after an event. So when there's already some witnesses in the area. What makes you do that? Is there a high probability that events occur more than once at the same place?
Yes, of course. We have such zones, like abnormal zones. I think, absolutely know that it is well known that this phenomena was discovered by Jacques Vallée in early 15th or 16th. That we have some areas which some flaps, some high activity of the phenomena. For example, this camera on the slide, this monitoring complex installed in a Yablunivka anomalous zone. This is the special area in the Kiev region where the observation continues from early 18th. The reports for the observation of UAP and very close contacts also have been placed, and because of this at first stage we have investigated the direction, the main direction of the observations. More than half of the reports shows this direction of observation. So we have talked with the witness, one of the witness, and he agreed to install the monitoring complex in top of the roof of his house, private house, and we use his electricity in this house, and because of this we need now to use some batteries and so on for this complex, and we can leave it for the months or few months, and absolutely automatically it send in our Telegram bot the images with some automatically registered objects. So it was very useful. I think the few 2 or 3 years of work of this complex shows us the very high performance of such a complexes. Thank you. Евген, может ты еще добавить?
Да не, ничего. No, that's all.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry, I'm just babbling on. When you talk about anomalous zones, so you say you have in Ukraine anomalous zones. Are these always the same, or are they stick to a certain time period?
Actually, we continue to investigate some cycles or periods of these zones. We have a low statistics up to this moment, but even this very poor data shows us that some one regions gives us more and much more reports than the other ones. And also we based on archive of the former Soviet committee for the anomalous phenomena research that worked since 1980 to the 1991, so 11 years, and they have collected more than 6,000 reports from the Ukraine territory and some other countries also. And we continue to investigate these reports, and based on these reports we try to make a suggestion about some zones, and then we goes to the expedition to these possible zones and asking the people and possible witnesses, and if it proved that the anomalous phenomena is really continue to observe in this area, we decide to install in this area some device. If we're talking about some anomalous on ground, we decide to install the on our on-ground complex. If we're talking about the aerial phenomena, we decide to install the observation automatic complex like you can see in this slide. Thank you.
Yeah, like with cameras and with actually like with all the sensors that actually match to capture the actually aerial phenomena.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so these zones interest me. Is there familiarity in these zones? Is there anything you could correlate from zone to zone? Or is every zone different?
Unfortunately, we have not much data about these zones. Of course, we know about the Hesdalen, and this is like a very high level for us to reach such investigations and such equipment like in Hesdalen, but we try to use available equipment to understand more and more about the zones. What now we can say that our hypothesis is the activity of the zone, such zones connected with their astrophysical cycles, like solar and moon cycles, and also it is very close connected with the human consciousness, because this is the complex phenomena. For example, in Yablunivka zone there is not only an UFO observation, but also here in nearest village Hruske we have some space and time like portals, like doors in other dimensions, because people reporting to us that they go to the fog in a road, and they teleport to other areas in these regions. So after 5 or 7 kilometers from the starting point. And also they reporting to us that they see some unusual things, like very unusual beasts in the forests that have never been observed before. And we have evidences that in the center of this zone we have some anomalous splices in magnetic field. Here you can see in this graph that you can show you before. And this is like a complex phenomena. We have a quantum theory hypothesis to solve this mystery, but we're very short in our equipment. It is our dream to place dozens of such devices in this zone and to collect the big data about it, but now what we can do is to place just a few complexes for the months or few months, but also it is very sensitive for the citizens of nearest villages. Evgen mentioned before, the citizens and villagers, if they find our devices, they stole it or broke it. And I absolutely believe if now we will try to install this device and some will find it, he will think that it is a new Russian landmine, and he will call for the super group to demine our devices. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Artem is saying is that the villagers are pretty curious on all the stuff. Like, they're walking around collecting the berries or the mushrooms, and they see some strange device. Like, even if they don't steal it, which is like, it's not that every time they steal it. Yeah, but basically, even like forest animals or like the villagers, they can like out of curiosity or out of their some wild animal running and just like breaks it breaks the device. Same as the villagers when they're just curious, trying to open and see what it is. If it's like presents any value or like stuff like that. Not like they steal it there.
Yeah, I got it. Artem, you were mentioning a zone, an area with not only UAPs appearing but also other kind of phenomena appearing. You mentioned portals, you mentioned animals, you mentioned poltergeists, things like that. Yes. Are you familiar with Skinwalker Ranch in Utah?
No, unfortunately. It is like researchers of such a phenomenon, yeah.
So this is quite interesting now, at least for me. So people in the Ukraine are not aware of Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, in the US. Okay.
Maybe it's not that we're aware. It's that it goes under a different name in our researches. I'm sure we got something in our press, maybe in our own insights. But I mean, like, it might have a different name.
Yeah, it might also be that some of their material is not being published in Ukraine. That can be as well. So the thing is, what you just described is exactly what happens at Skinwalker Ranch. So it's an area, it's not only one ranch, but the thing that's going on is, let's say, a millionaire bought a ranch and set up some scientists to identify what is going on. But actually the whole phenomena occurs in the whole Uinta Basin, which is a huge, I think 200-kilometer wide basin. Like a very much a big Hessdalen kind of. Yeah, I'm still baffled with this, that all these phenomena, which are very off, have anything to do with UAPs. That's about me personally.
Yeah, we think that the UAP is just a part of the whole anomalous phenomena problem or mystery, because we have evidence that in some time after the UAP massive observations in some area was the huge poltergeist activity, for example. So we doesn't know how it connected with each other, but our main hypothesis is the some parallel worlds can be intercrossed in some points and some time. So it is also it is very connected. Our suggestion that the anomalous zones very connected with the old ancient structures. Because, for example, in this zone near Yablonivka, using the metal detectors, we have find the old settlement of the ancient Ukrainians more than 1,000 years ago. So maybe this is like a phenomena behind the space and time, and very huge connected with the human consciousness, because it is the activity of this phenomena very depends on your awareness and your mental state. This is more about psychology, but according to the double slit experiment, according to the quantum mechanics, the world that you live in it chosen by your consciousness. Yeah, so we continue to going in this very edge science, very unusual theories to understand the world completely. I can send you a few our scientific articles about our hypothesis and approach and about our anomalous zones. Also, we have developed very huge lists of the rules, safety rules in these zones. We have special equipment in aim to do not ruin the zones with our investigations, and do not make the damage of ourselves, because it causes some dangerous phenomena that we cannot understand completely for now, unfortunately. And also, I will be glad if you send for us these materials about Utah. I think it will be very interesting for all our members. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. I can send you a link.
Definitely will be thankful if you could send them to us. In general, what Artem wanted to say is that, like, the majority of our observations, of our calculations, like of our presumptions regarding the what you call the nature of these events, is that we think that they mostly occur on all the times bound to the consciousness of the observer, yeah, on some quantum level. That's the only kind of link, the connection we see throughout the scientific works that we develop in our center. Like, that's the general review. Sorry for interrupting again.
Okay. Any other questions? Ido, I'm sure you have a question.
I have a question about magnetic anomalies. What's so special about them? And can we get an explanation of the graph? Like, is it 3-axis magnetometer and then 1 axis shows these oscillations? Or what is actually anomaly? And what is the bottom graph timeline?
We speak only about the bottom graph, and at it you can see 3 axes of magnetometer. And taking into account that the scale of magnetic vector should remain equal at the same place, when if for example, somebody moved the device, so for example, one axis must be the value for one axis must be increased, for example, for another decreased. But we have the increasing and after decreasing for all 3 axes. So it's isn't normal. It says that length of magnetic vector changed at that place, and this is a factor of abnormality.
Thank you.
But I think the thing with the magnetic field sensor is that it's very local, so its range is rather limited. You know what I'm saying? So if you set up a station and equipment and you have a magnetic field sensor in it, there must be a huge change in whatever, gravitational field, space-time, whatever, in a huge area so that you can detect it. Otherwise it's just close around the next 2 meters or so to the sensor.
Yes, and it is one of the strangest.
Yeah. Now I definitely get the idea to make this combination.
This magnetic field meter was installed very close to one of the anomalous zone in a Kiev region with the possible portal to the other dimensions or something. So we have lived this device for 1.5 months, and when we obtain the data from it, so you can see very really strange splashes on the graph with the dramatically change of the magnetic field. We cannot now explain it yet. Thank you.
So okay, this is a snapshot from a long timeline, and it just shows the spike.
Yes, it's a snapshot from long time capture at about 1 month or more.
Yeah, we're also considering using magnetometers and accelerometers, because it's an additional sensor. On the other hand, we rather doubt the real use for UAP detection itself. It is certainly a sensor data point that's interesting to see additionally, but it's, at least from my point of view, it's certainly not something that kicks an event. Yeah, okay, so guys, any other questions? Bojan? No? Okay. Yeah, then I would say thank you very much, Artem, Yevgeny and Igor, and Ole. Ole, if that's correct. Yes, I would say great work what you do. You do it for decades almost. We are certainly beginners in this field. And yes, we try to learn from all sides. So what you just presented to us is very valuable to us. It underlines some of our own perspectives, and I would say we have to stay in touch for further development, especially if you have ideas for new sensors or new equipment. That would be very interesting. Because you are in the field outside and you test your equipment, and that would be a good data point for us to know what equipment is good and can be used and can be integrated. So thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you too.
Thanks.
Yeah, we also want to thank everyone for attending, and it was a big pleasure to meeting. We always look forward and striving for such international communication. What I wanted to mention, in addition to that, is that we, as you said, we've been doing this stuff for long. However, we never thought how it would, what kind of direction it would take with the, with all the military circumstances happening around. But however, it looks pretty kind of promising and interesting, because right now lots of new equipment being developed, lots of kind of new algorithms being also developed, and we believe that we'll have much more data to share, like the years, like in the next years, you know, like because lots of stuff is it's like a byproduct, but I mean, like it's really being collected like nowhere else, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. There are not many places in the world where such endeavors take place. That's the part of our intrinsic philosophy to cast a global network, not to have a local one, but to cast a big one so that everyone can participate. And then, yeah, the difference I would say for me is you're very focused on what you do, on your research, and mostly in the field research. And let's say we are focused in developing a system that can be rolled out, so that we have autonomous systems that scan the hemisphere, so all the sky, not just a particular few, 24/7, and represent the data also in real time. So it's more an autonomous thing from our point of view, because we are not talking about those special zones, because they are not so. You don't find that many in the world, I assume. At least I don't know of many. So let's say in Europe, I don't know of many. Yes, I heard, Christian, there are some, but we should still cast the network globally, and also to have multiple data collections on multiple systems over a wider area, let's say over several hundreds of kilometers. That would be great to have. So that's more our vision of why we do it like we do it.
Yeah, we would be happy to support that.
Yeah,
with all means
cool.
possible available to us. Yeah.
Cool, great.
So just like let us know, and we'll we're really on it.
Yeah, when the war is over, everything will be much more easier, I assume. And it would be great if we could expand our network into Ukraine as well. So that to have fixed stations somewhere in Ukraine, spread over Ukraine even, which data you also can use for your own additional data for your own research, of course. So because we produce our data open source, and wherever a station is and you record the data is immediately available online. So that's why you also
definitely totally interesting, and I think Artem will be able, like on our level of organization, we'll be able to hope on the support of our government, like in the necessary means again, to share the data, to grow the community, to unite the community, and basically, yeah, because like we have, as you know, probably Ukraine is famous for great brains. Yeah, these brains are working for other tasks right now. However, these brains are also available constantly for these research, and we'll do all the best we can, you know. So.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds great. Is to develop a unified system for the observation of the UAPs in a whole world, and make a big unified data about the observation and report. So we absolutely ready to work together with you in aim to interconnect our systems and to develop some very useful for the all of the researchers in the world. Thank you.
Yes, Artem. Thank you very much for your words. So
thanks for you too.
Yes, thanks, Evgeny. So it's now a quarter to the hour. We still have our developers meeting. So, guys, we want. Also, actually, it's Ido's idea. Ido, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much. So I want to give you the word for the next 10 minutes or so about your idea about forming a team, and the people are here, so we can directly ask for the production of the alpha.
Yeah.
Please.
So we are pretty much ready to do all the integration work and start production. I think our alpha version. So we are thinking about forming a team that include me, Fabio, David, Don, from kind of software side, just to finish, the stuff that we need and do the integration, and also one person from hardware that can help us with everything that we need from the hardware side, from the assembly, all of that. So, we will get familiar with it, and also the process we will streamline to our single repository on GitHub, and we will include all the guides and everything over there. It will be very straightforward on everything from the procurement list for the Aloha version all the way to build it and running it and later on maintaining it. Yeah.
All right.
So,
So, if any one of you, like Aaron, Kian, consider joining the team, or Nicola, to joining the team, but the idea is to work very concentrated for the next couple of weeks to that goal. So if you have time, it would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to help out. I haven't been able to really be that productive yet, but maybe this can be my point where I make the phase change.
Like a quick deep dive.
Yeah. Like I like to keep the team like small and focused right now because we have a lot to do and we want to productionize. And the goal again is to release alpha version. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a big push by all of us to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same goes for me. I've been trying to jump in, but whatever I can do to help out.
Yeah. So right now, I wouldn't say there is much. We just need the time and the focus to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, any more topic? Any other questions?
One thing I would request is that if we do this, like set up a dedicated team channel, because like the Discord is very confusing as to where to focus to like find new information and so on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. We'll do
point.
that. We'll keep it private for now, but again, it has to be focused.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. But like having just a place where new information is listed in one spot where we can look.
We will make the channel like public, like once we release alpha. But for now, it's just like we need a lot, with setting up the Gits, the repositories, and set up all the issues so it's more easy for open source people to come and kind of take an issue. So the issues will be public. The outcome, they will be public, okay? And we will know exactly what we are working on. If you think there is an issue that you can pick up and take, obviously go ahead and do that and help us that way. That will be the best.
Right. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, but now, like, we need to collect a lot of information and put a lot of, structure around the development process. So it's more open.
Got it.
And onboarding is easier as well. So. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? No? Then I would say we wrap it up for the day. I stop recording now.